Beyond. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 54. I'm your host, Chris Roper, editor-in-chief of the IGN PlayStation team. Greg Miller, what's up?
Nothing.
Jeff Haynes, how you doing?
What's cracking?
Ryan Clements, he's over there. All right, so let's get right into the show.
I shouldn't have even said anything.
No, you shouldn't have. It would have been funnier. Let's get right into the show with the Roper Report.
Time for some news.
So, the first a little sad bit for people that actually cared about this is that Destroy All Humans Big Willie Unleashed is canceled on PSP.
Officially gone.
Officially gone. Continue with more delay cancellation type news. The SOCOM beta was pushed back a little bit. Still coming out September 1st. Still good, and it's going to last. From what I understand, it's going to last a month. Last through the entirety of September, so that's going to be pretty cool. So you get plenty of time to play it. I think the game right now is slated for October 14th. So that means you'll have only a 2-week gap before between the beta and when you can actually buy the game. That's pretty cool. Let's see, Little Big Planet. There's some pre-order news in that if you pre-order the game, we don't have details. I don't think on where you have to get this from or how it gets delivered to you or whatever. But if you pre-order the game, you will get none other than Kratos and Noriko versions of Sackboy. So
How are they going to give me these versions, Roper?
That's why I don't understand. We don't know yet. Maybe you have a code? I'm thinking there's going to be a code.
Pre-ordering the game or the limited edition strategy guide? Because I thought that's what the blog post says. It's the game? Okay,
because
gotcha.
Depending upon where you go, and that's one of the things that they haven't said yet, you get either the creation hint guide from Brady Games, the canvas sack that you can carry the game in, or either Noriko or Kratos. It just depends on where you go.
Oh,
yes.
Well, how can I get all three of those things, Jeff?
Buy it
Apparently,
3 times.
buy it 3 times.
I'm gonna do it.
4 times.
I'm going to do it.
And you also get sticker books, too, supposedly.
Ooh.
There you go.
Sticker book.
The Uncharted trophies are out.
Yes!
So download that. Earn some trophies.
Chris Roper and I tearing that crap apart.
We'll get to just the tip in a little bit on that. Pain Amusement Park.
That's kind of gross.
Whatever. The Pain Amusement Park add-on is coming on September 4th.
You know you like it.
Yep.
And for those of you who want to get into the home beta, who are not in the UK and or have not been accepted in that thing yet,
Do it.
right now on the PlayStation Network, you can download a home theme for your PlayStation 3. By downloading and installing this thing, or I suppose just downloading, I guess you don't even need to install it or turn it on, I guess, you will automatically be entered into the beta drawing, I guess. Doesn't mean you're going to get in the beta, but they're going to, I guess, Greg, they're
looking at your PSN activity. So making sure you actually use your PS3
you
and stuff.
like Big Brother.
Totally, yeah.
So
when you put that theme up, it can now see through your TV at what you're doing.
Yes. If you have a PlayStation Eye, it watches you. The eye grows wheels and it follows you into the bathroom.
It's Mark II.
So, yeah.
Mark II.
There you
Or
go.
Transformer.
Pain Amusement Park's bringing trophies, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is also true.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the news for the week. Let's find out what came out this week on stores.
What? How would we do that?
I don't know.
Oh, wait.
Is there some sort of list that we can refer to?
Of course, there's the official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by the IGN editors.
Or for short, TOILOUPSOATPBTIE.
TCBY. PSP got Talkman Travel. I don't know if those counts as games. But
Well, it's software for it. We'll
The
count it.
application
are we going to review
productivity
those?
suites.
Have we
I
talked about that?
don't know
I
if
guess
there's actually...
the thing would be that we'd have to download them, and then you'd have to let me expense a trip to Rome
Yeah,
to go try them out. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing. Well, I guess we could find somebody that actually spoke the languages natively,
Yeah.
but that would even be hard. That's a really
That's a good
tricky
question.
one.
You know, it could be a giant video review where we just go down to Little Italy in San Francisco.
Maybe we can put it on the insider budget.
There you go.
I'll
Oh,
go to
totally.
Venice.
All right, cool. Okay. PS2 got Hold On to Your Pants, Ryan. Hannah Montana Spotlight World Tour.
Oh, my pants are flying off.
And
God.
possibly B-Boy. Jeff, can you shed any light on this? It wasn't on the PSP release list, and it's coming there, too.
Supposedly it's on the PS2 list. I've gone to a couple stores and I haven't seen
No
it
sign
there,
of it,
so
huh?
I don't know.
Interesting. PS3 got Ryan Clements and Database Mike's favorite game of all time, Monster Madness. Grave Digger? Danger?
Danger. Yes.
How is that game?
Oh, it's something.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a piece of work?
There's
It's a piece
there's not a whole
of
lot
work.
for us to pick for pick of the week here.
Pick of the week!
I go
Mine-
Talkman.
My pick of the week is Uncharted trophies.
Yeah,
which is
totally.
free.
That's a good point, yeah. That the Uncharted update.
Or this is not a game, but the what is this behind the scenes look, official documentary making of
The Last Guy.
The Last Guy.
The Last Guy behind the scenes video. Totally download that right now from the PlayStation
Yes.
Network.
Oh yes, we watched it a few times.
Have you not?
Amazing.
No, I haven't. I was at the
you
event.
are in for a
missing
treat,
something.
sir.
It is the most in-depth and natural look at how games are made. It is absolutely incredible. You will see these guys in their own environment, what they have to go through making the game. They talk about.
Are you being sarcastic?
They
You
talk
do
about their
realize
skills and how.
He's the number one programmer
in the Himalayas.
or
No,
Himalayans.
mathematician.
If you're talking
The
around.
more
That's right.
mathematician.
Wasn't there a programmer
But
too?
through
No, okay.
he is the programmer.
Oh,
But
okay.
through his amazing mathematician skills,
Yes.
he was able to tap into the power of the PlayStation 3 and do such things as give you control over your character with the controller and output sound through headphones.
Yeah.
Yes, it's incredible.
So you need to watch this thing to see it go.
The entire video
appreciate
is
it.
awesomeness, but I just love them playing The Last Guy on a tiny, 14-inch standard def TV.
Yeah.
That's what cracks me up.
It's pretty
I love
rad.
the demonstration with the actual screenshots.
Oh, yeah.
Blown up on.
You can't find
cardboard.
And also, I
You
think
can't
14
find the
inches
last
is a little
guy.
bit bigger. I think it's probably a 10-inch screen.
Really? Okay.
It's pretty tiny. Looks like one of those little security monitors.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Well, thanks
yeah,
for making
so,
me look like an idiot in front of all our friends.
well, my pick of the week has got to be the
Welcome to my life.
the Last Guy making of documentary.
I'd stick with Uncharted trophies.
Yeah. Well, tie for me.
Okay.
Tie between the two. The Last Guy is new. Uncharted lets you redo it.
True.
Which is
There you
also
go.
fantastic. You should do it anyway.
Oh, I've discovered a lot of new things playing Uncharted for the trophies this way. And
Yeah.
I reviewed the game.
Discover how much you love it.
Oh,
Huh?
You discover how much you love it.
No, I knew that already.
no,
Oh, okay.
just new areas.
But I'd never bothered to do
New
like
secrets.
Never bothered to
shoot
beat
at
it.
him and then run up and punch
They're
him.
terrible
Oh yeah, I
at
never
it.
played past chapter 10. I don't know.
In fact, I didn't even play past chapter 2. I was just like, doodle-doo,
Like,
all right, 10.
Gotta get on a jet ski, huh? Not really my thing. I'm gonna stop right there.
So this
What is
brings
this, wave race?
this brings us to trophy tips, or as we like to call it, just the tip.
Oh, just a tip on it.
So
Just a tip.
man,
Stop doing those.
No. Why do you want to ruin everything fun that isn't
God,
a song
what is
that's
wrong with
anime?
you?
So there are a whole lot of trophies that are in
Mine now?
Uncharted, which are directly tied to the rewards that
great.
you would get from before.
Medals.
The medals that you would get from before. A lot of them, a good, I guess it would be, 12 or 13 of them
Majority, yeah.
are tied directly to getting treasures and just finding them.
Yeah, it goes in increments of 5. There's 60. Who can do the math?
That's
Yeah.
61. There's the secret one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
you
you
get
know,
one for the
but,
secret.
yeah, but they go by 5s when they're counting off the trophies.
Which is why
Spoiled the
12.
secret trophy.
12.
Yeah.
Good job,
Anyway,
Jeff.
because you don't get one for 0.
Shut it.
Anyway, so to find the trophy or to find the treasures, go online.
But you
and
get the 1. You do win your first trophy. You get
that's
for
right.
your first treasure. So that'd be 13.
Plus, there's the 14th one for
there's-
the
okay. So
artifact.
14 there. There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so 14 of like the 48, I think there are for that. But anyway, a lot of them are for killing people with weapons. So here's your first trophy tip for this game: is the easiest way to kill a guy with a hard to find weapon, especially something like the Dragon Assault Sniper or whatever.
Yeah, dragging off sniper rifle.
Is to when you come into an area and you actually find a weapon that's sitting there and ready for you just to pick up, something you have to get from an enemy. Go in there, grab the weapon. Kill as many dudes as you can before ammo runs out, which is like especially for the sniper rifle, you'll run out almost immediately, and then just hit start and pick restart checkpoint, and all your kills there will save. So you can just do that a couple times in a row with the same weapon, you'll get the kill. At some points in the game, like Greg was saying, is if you kill all of the dudes as soon as they're all dead, it all of a sudden sets a checkpoint right after they're dead. So you might want to leave a guy or two left. You can use this in the very beginning of the game. It's a super easy way to get 5 headshots in a row or whatever. It's a easy way to get the I forget what it's Steel Fist,
Yeah.
where you need to shoot a guy enough to get him damaged and then punch him with one punch to kill him. The easy way to do that is to just shoot from the hip, just run up to the dude, don't aim, just keep popping your handgun, and then right when you get near them, press square and run up and punch them. And that's super easy to do in the beginning because you can
You
just
can kick out their legs too, and all sorts of animations.
yeah, so you can just do it a couple times in the beginning, so long as you get enough in a row, then just hit restart from checkpoint.
And it's if you
do it
haven't
again.
done it yet, it's not as hard as sitting there trying to guess when they're vulnerable. Because what happens basically is you get enough if you get them like 1 or 2 times or whatever, and then you get
Yeah.
on top of them, it goes into an animation of them going down.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of like you don't have to worry. For when I first heard that trophy, it was something I never bothered to do when I played the game originally because it's just not how I played.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was gonna have to be like trying to guess how many bullets it took down to take a guy and then walk up and hit him.
Yeah, if you want to be a little more careful about it, this makes it kind of hard, especially if what's her name? Elka? Not
Elena.
Elka. Elena, that's it.
Elka.
I thought there was a K in there for some reason.
She was in Road Rules.
Dude, it's Friday.
Season 3.
Anyway, you can shoot them and just shoot them one at a time. Wait for them to start holding their stomach. That's when you know about their
really?
die. But it's easier if you just run up and
that's why I did. I did it that 5 times.
And then the last tip that I'll give, and Greg, you can chime in on if you want to do any of these, is the ones where you have to hang and shoot people. You can find a couple places in the game. There's hang and kill, I think, 10 people with a pistol or whatever, or just sort of a handgun, and then also 10 dudes with the grenades. You can do this kind of near the beginning, but the place that I found was the best is once you get to where the city's kind of filled with water and you're around the areas where the jet skis are. There's one level, I don't remember the exact chapter for this, but you kill some dudes, and then there's a hallway where you have to jump in the water and swim to the other side.
That's exactly where I did my grenades too, dude.
Yeah, and so instead of getting up on the other side of the water, you just kind of let your dude hang there and then throw the grenades you have, kill some dudes, and then just restart from checkpoint and put you right on the other side of that hallway. You just jump right back in the water again. You can get both the kills with the pistol and the grenades there, no problem.
For the grenade launcher one, that I finished off my first playthrough last night for trophies, and the only weapon I was missing was the grenade launcher and then the expert dynamite, which one was blow up 3 guys at a time. And in the middle of chapter 4, like when you just parachuted in, you got down from the tree, you run through all that stuff. As soon as you get to the first area that's filled with like the crazy traps or whatever, if you take out like the first 4 or 5 guys in this area, if you remember, there's a grenade launcher guy up on a house, and if you or a half of a house or whatever, big old stone thing, shoot him, and then you can crawl up there and grab his grenade launcher, and then a bunch of guys jump over the wall out in front of you. When they get to like the first tree, you can plant a grenade right in that tree, and it'll kill 3 of them right away. And then if you just let them kill you, and then you restart literally with the 5 guys behind you dead, and you sit staring at that thing, so you just jump back up there.
You can also just hit restart from checkpoint and put you right there.
Totally.
Because that's what I was doing to try to get the first. I didn't realize there was the expert dynamite because it's one of the hidden ones.
Yeah.
But for the first dynamite one, I just kept doing that one over and over again until I got it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there's your trophy tips for the week. Let's move on to topic of the week.
Topic of the week.
So last night, Ryan went to a Koei event.
Yes, I did.
And
in the city.
This past weekend, Jeff went to Japan to go to a Square event.
Yep.
Now, Square obviously is working on a couple different versions of Final Fantasy 13.
No, they would never do that.
Yeah, 13th game in the franchise. Well, 13th numeral game, but there's also, X2 and all these other things and tactics, and if you want to count that. And then Ryan went to Koei, which are probably the biggest offenders of releasing the same game over and over again with a new number and a couple of new characters, whatever. So our topic of the week is sequelitis. Is it good? Is it bad? Here's the one thing I've been thinking of recently is, I'm getting tired of seeing a lot of the sequels for this game, but when you have a game that comes out that's great, Uncharted is a great example. Game comes out, does awesome, you automatically assume there's going to be Uncharted 2. Resistance comes out at launch, you're like, there's no way they're not going to have Resistance 2. Obviously, that's happening. Assuming Little Big Planet's fine, Little Big Planet 2 is going to come. You can assume all of these games are going to happen. It's an assumption that there's going to be a sequel for a game, and people eat these things up. The Halo franchise done to Gears of War, is going to be doing really well. God of War 2 did extremely well. God of War 3's coming. Sequels are everywhere. Half-Life. And we want to see all of these games, but then there's also the games like Dynasty Warriors where we're like, why is there another Dynasty Warriors game? Why can't they do something new? So it's sort of a trade-off, I guess, of there's sequels for almost everything now.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases it's good, but also in a lot of cases it's bad. So, Ryan, you went to the...
sums it up very well.
I know, but Ryan, you went to the Koei, but why don't you tell us about, I guess, just the latest batch of games from them.
So, since I was focusing on the PlayStation stuff, of course, there was Dynasty Warriors 6 for the PS2, which was previously out for 360 and PS3. And then it's also coming out for the PC. They really like to spread their seed across multiple platforms.
That's pretty dirty.
It is. So it's just
and you're yelling at us about the tip.
Then also they have Warriors Orochi 2. So this is now I'm not positive, but this is the third big franchise that they're starting to make multiple sequels off of, because so far they have Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, and now Warriors Orochi. And so they had Warriors Orochi 2.
Soon they'll have Orochi Samurai, and it'll come full
Samurai,
circle.
Warriors Dynasty, Hero 2.
That's also not counting all the Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Yeah. Oh, which is up to 11 now. So there's something to consider. But those to go back, Warriors Orochi 2 is on the PS2 and the 360 there. And that is one of those games where I know a lot of people love the Dynasty Warriors games. I don't get it. In fact, our own Sam Bishop, freelancer extraordinaire, actually kind of likes some of them and often says that he gets really addicted to them. And I don't know why, because in the end, they really are just very much the same thing over and over again, which is kind of unfortunate. The very first time I played, actually one of the first Koei games I can remember playing, I might have dabbled in some of the first Dynasty Warriors games when they first came out for the original PlayStation PS2. The one that I really got into was when I reviewed Gundam Warrior Dynasty.
Yeah.
I forgot what the name of it is. Platinum edition. But that was one of the first games that I actually really tried to get into and had to, do the whole review spiel. And I actually really enjoyed it because that was the first game that, out of the series that I had tried and got into. And I was like, okay, it's a button masher, but it has some stuff that's going on there. It's okay. It's fine. But then progressively, as I reviewed more and more Koei games, you just come to realize that they really are just the same thing over and over again. And I think it's unfortunate that people still buy them because it's just encouraging the company and they're making money.
Yeah, but if you like that franchise, I think.
And you can put down the yellow turbans as many times as you want, and that rebellion will never get stale.
But the thing is, it's pretty clear though that as it goes on and on. I mean, there's a lot of games that this is true for, but the Koei games will single them out. Is that it? Just sort of seems like there's very little update to what's happening there.
I see that. Yeah. I know what you mean. I mean, you see it with the sports games, everything from Madden to wrestling. I mean, it's going to be the same thing. But I mean, it's one of those things where the problem is that enough people still enjoy that experience to buy it. You know what I mean? Like if you figure there's a dedicated fan base for a Koei game or a SmackDown game or whatever, and if they were to say, you know what, this is the same thing, I don't want this, and step away, then THQ, Koei, EA, whoever would have to be forced to respond to that and say, all right, well, we are going to shake things up and do this. However, if everybody just keeps buying it and then complaining about it later on, whatever. Yep. And I think it's one of those things where what frustrates me is sequelitis in the movie industry, and the fact that we stopped creating original IPs and IDs in 1984. We just gave up and just were like, well, everything that's going to be is done, and we'll rehash it all in 20 years or whatever. And that I find more annoying because it seems like you can't get away from that as much. If they want to put out Dynasty Warriors 1,227.
That's the best one.
Probably. I'm not going to play it, you know what I mean? Because it's just not my type of game, so it doesn't get to me that they do that, you know what I mean? And then on the same aspect, SmackDown is my game, so they do bells and whistles upgrades and make sure that this is better and there's more moves and stuff, and I'm like, awesome, I'll keep buying that game. I'll keep playing that game. So I don't know. I don't find it as annoying here. I mean, it does suck when things get stuck and stale, and I mean, it happens all the time with these games that come out on a yearly basis, and that's terrible, and I wish it didn't have to be like that. But it's one of those things where the consumers have to take responsibility for it and try to change their buying patterns, which is a huge problem because I know who we are. We are the
the obsessive.
We're the same people our readers are. You know what I mean? And if they had said, if let's say Superman was a franchise, I hate singling out real games. If Superman kept coming out year after year, I would buy it even if it was just one more power. You know what I mean? Even if it's just the heat vision lasts longer, goes farther, or something stupid like that. You know what I mean?
That's true, but the thing is with stuff like that, it's almost like the difference between sequelitis and a franchise that's constantly just pumping out the same thing, which is what all the sports fans constantly comment on, because either depending upon whatever it is the only sports game, or it's basically cribbing off of something else because there isn't necessarily a lot of competition, or the ideas are pretty much locked in where it's like, okay, there's only so much we can do, or the designers decide there's only so much they can do instead of trying to make the experience to actually fit exactly what the sport happens to be. And that's not exactly sequelitis as much as it is there's a certain amount of design that they're going to put in for 1 year, and then they'll say 2 or 3 years down the road, then we'll actually put the major revision in. And that's where the whole thing with the consumer basically steps in, because it's well, would the consumers even still be there 2 or 3 years down the road? Sure. Which is why you get those half-hearted steps every now and
Madden
then. And then
could never take a year off. Madden could never be we're not putting it out this year.
Right.
So the thing with sports games is you're saying, developers only have a year to add in new features, so they can
sometimes
only
less than that. It's usually about the cycle is about 8 months or so on.
So they're saying, okay, we can add in. Now you can create stadiums this year, and that's all we have time to do because we have to update the rosters and add a couple more animations, and so that's your big feature for the year.
Right.
And then a lot of times, with Madden, they tried the quarterback vision cone and all these other things, and you're sort of well, this didn't quite work, and we'll change it and do these other things, and it's gotten to the point where some of these games I mean, if you've been playing them for a long time, you may take it for granted, but like Madden, it has a ton of stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's a very big game. All the hockey games are very big. Baseball games are very big. I mean, if you compare them to RBI baseball or like the first Madden release, whatever, there's so much more stuff in there. And so now they've gotten to the point where the game is technically complete. You know, like you can do everything in a football game that you'd want to do. You know, maybe you want some extra franchise options or whatever else. But you can play all these football games and baseball. They simulate everything about it now. So now they're trying to come up with ways to spin it and give you new options. You know, maybe now you have the superstar stuff, or you do an interview or whatever. They throw in those kind of hooks. But it's like those guys. Number one, they're on a time crunch. Number two, they have to they're coming to the end. I mean, it's like Tony Hawk. There's 8 or 9 of those games now, and you're like, well, you're skating. That's
Right.
really all you can do.
There's still a number of things complexity-wise that they could do with a lot of the sports games because they still don't have a lot of the accurate trading like mechanics or some of the specifics of running a franchise. If you're doing a franchise mode, they still don't have a large number of things that are fixed, like the forward momentum issues that you find in something like Madden or some of the like shooting situations, which has basically been rampant in a lot of the basketball games, where just players just can't shoot to save their souls, even if it's like representative of who the actual player is on the court. I mean, there's still some things that a lot of the games can fix, and that's why you usually find litanies of lists of fans that buy it and go, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, why don't you do this or whatever. But that's a little bit different than a standard sequelitis thing, where you have something like, just to throw something out, which doesn't really even count in the same manner, but like if you did a Need for Speed, and it's like, okay, so we've got all of this, and then all of a sudden it's like, and now for this year we're adding drift racing because it's kind of hot, and that's like the new mode that's going to be part
it's not even
like,
hot. It's
the
only
new Need for Speed thing, and that's how they decide to spin out the franchise now. So it's like the next installment will be that and drifting. And maybe next year we'll make it so you can be a cop, and so like
Flip bitch.
What?
Flip bitch, that's the mode I want to see.
Exactly. So I mean, like, it's one of those things where literally, depending upon whatever the title is, you see basically the exact same thing that you saw the last time. The plot is maybe just a little bit more, is maybe twisted a little bit, but it's basically derivative of the exact same thing. And the new feature or mode is something where you're like, really?
But I mean, it comes down to how do you like manage that? Like, Dynasty Warriors, it hits, and people love the fighting system. I mean, I can't imagine being developers like, well, let's take 2 years off now and completely redo everything. Huh?
No, I was just putting fighting system in quotes because it's just button mashing. I was making a joke.
Well, people like it enough, obviously.
I think we also have to keep in mind that it depends a lot on the developer, because obviously, even with the example that we're giving between myself and Jeff with what the games we just saw, Koei is a very small company. They probably don't have as much of a financial backing as someone like Square Enix, who's huge. And so they can't pour in as much resources into the iterations of their titles as they go along. Whereas each Final Fantasy game, granted, a lot of people don't like one or the other, or so-and-so, they have their favorites, but each of those games is almost completely like kind of built from the ground up again to try and create a new experience.
That's true. Although, like, even if you take something like Bladestorm, everybody.
Bladestorm.
You take something like that where they're deciding to make a completely different franchise. Like,
it was a lot better than some of the stuff they
could have
put out.
decided to literally move away from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms period and choose something else, or decide to create a completely different series. And they didn't. They haven't. They're still choosing to strip mine that tale over and over for every usable resource, versus something like a Square Enix where every single one that they have, even though it is part of the franchise and it is the 13th in a series, it is a completely different world with completely different characters, new situations, new mechanics in some cases, depending upon the battle system or whatever else. And that's, I think, what kind of breaks up the entire thing of sequelitis. I mean, one of the things that was going on with 13 that we found out was that which I was telling some of the guys, is that the idea of 13 is that it is a legend essentially about a crystal. But the 313s are basically different tales off of the same legend. It's basically if somebody took the legend and started telling it one way, and then another 13 game is somebody taking that crystal legend and telling it a completely different way.
Like the Bible.
And so it basically turns out that the separate packages are completely different. even if they have a same core concept, which
Right.
essentially shatters the mold on how you can have sequelitis, because they're not even close to the same. They don't have the same characters, but they're still based off of that same core idea that you could kind of get trapped in and constantly have repetitive gameplay.
Right. I think that there's another thing we have to consider is that the comparison between games like the Final Fantasy series and then sports games and wrestling games and stuff, they have to crank one of those out every year, whereas Square Enix is in no way restricted to being on a yearly basis. They can take however long they want to make another Final Fantasy.
Well, and the thing, too, is a wrestling game or a sports game have something that they have to try to mimic. Like, wrestling
Right.
has specific wrestlers, and they do suplexes and all these other moves. They have to put those in the game. Final Fantasy could be like, hell, now it's going to be a first-person shooter RPG, and you're going to be able to go into the center of the earth. And you're like, what? Okay, whatever. Because they can do whatever they
I
want.
think that was the
Right.
core.
But
yeah,
even,
that was what that movie was.
even if you did something like a Ratchet or a Jack, where you have these games, like it doesn't have to come out every year. Whether the developers decide that they want to do something like that because they happen to have an engine that can support the assets, that's totally up to them. But the way in which they wound up changing over the PS2 like lifespan, where every single game that you saw, like there were still some basic mechanics, but they were adding in completely different things. To where with Ratchet, all of a sudden you got to deadlocked, and you're going like, wait a second, and there's a huge online multiplayer component. What the hell is this? That's not something that we expected. And
Jeff is waving his arms about madly.
but even though there's like the quote unquote ghost of sequelitis hovering over it, the mechanics that they decide to throw in, the storyline, which also is a huge factor as far as breaking off or breaking away from sequelitis, and then the mechanics that you decide to toss in there are the things that kind of get you away from that, versus people where it's like, well, you're like Driver, which is pretty much like, well, you're a driver and you drive and you're going to drive here, and you're sitting there going like, really? And you do everything, and then you get to like Driver 2, and it's like, yeah, how good are you at that U-turn? It's like, I just did that like the last mission. Are you seriously telling me that's exactly what I have to do? And it's just pumping that same thing out over and over and over again, just for money.
I remember Driver.
I remember,
Bad times.
I remember Driv 3R.
Yeah.
Drive 3R.
I think that was sort of the same sort of game. All right, I guess we've beaten this horse to death.
It's now dog food. Is that what
I
you're
don't
telling
think
us?
it was
Yeah.
deathly beaten.
No, I'm just saying, well,
We've covered it, is what he means.
yeah, and it's sort of
Put a
the
bullet in it.
Pwned.
Brian.
know,
We're
we
suffering
owned-
from
we de-owned
sequelitis of the
sequelitis.
conversation.
That's what it is. I'm listening to this thing and I'm going, man, this is going on just like the games we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
we need to cut it short.
We're the worst offenders.
We-
This
we
is our
just got
53rd
infected
sequel to
with it.
podcast, man.
54th.
50.
Well, the first one was the original.
Oh yeah, so 53rd sequel.
Yeah.
That's correct. Now
Ooh,
here's
Greg,
the question.
look at that.
I have a question about sequels. Is this because people say it's the third sequel to a movie, but really say you have a trilogy, so the third one's the sequel to the second, or is it the sequel to the first, and which would make it would it also be the sequel to the second?
Wouldn't
Would
it be
the
the
third
second
be the
sequel?
sequel to the first and second, or
Second
is it
sequel.
only the sequel to the second?
No, the third would be the second sequel.
I get. That's.
Because the
Tricky
sequel
question.
is the sequel to the first, but the third would be the second sequel.
But that means it's the sequel to the first
And
game.
my brain
Yeah.
exploded.
But you're
Time
going from the
Paradox.
same
Time
franchise.
paradox.
Time Paradox Snake is dead.
Oh god.
All right,
Sequential.
let's move the show on. I guess we're not going to do some sort of blog deck update because we were a day late this week with.
Yeah, I mean,
Beyond.
it's pretty
We're
much already
$1
known.
short.
There's core, there's the home thing, there's Talkman Travel, there's video, there's
Talkman?
theme.
Yeah, video including the
Wallpapers.
behind the scenes look at the making of The Last
The
Guy.
Last Guy.
The Last Guy Japan Premium.
I
They
am
should
the
call
Last
it.
Guy.
They should call it Last Guy US Premium, or
They
US
should.
Super Spectacular or something like that.
There you go.
Ooh, super spectacular.
Yeah.
Should we talk about what was that title that had an outrageously long name that I saw this morning?
No,
we
what
shouldn't
was
talk
that?
about that.
Yeah, it's man.
Super acrobatic car, awesome
Oh God, I can't.
turbo action.
It's so
It
long,
sounded
I
like
can't remember what
a
it
Japanese
is.
game show.
Is it?
like super
Is that
happy,
a real
fun,
title?
Oh yeah,
expensive
yeah. Coming to the PlayStation Network.
Wow.
Man, it's so crazy. I can't remember what it is. Something to do with battle cars.
Battle car.
Crush
Yeah.
Hour 2.
Yeah. All right, let's get into reader mail.
Mail call.
Chain mail?
She-mail.
Mailbag?
Mail bags.
Before I get into actually reading any of the questions here, we have a special piece of mail that we got.
Wait, like a real
I
mail?
guess we get all of this mail, but yeah, no, we got a box
What?
from Amazon
Snail mail.
sent to us by John Hodge, who I don't know what his board name is, whatever. I guess it just says it's from John, but he sent us a box of
5
it's a
pounds.
5-pound box of Haribo clownfish gummy candy. And,
John, you are the man.
So a lot of this has been devoured already, more than half the bag.
Yeah,
it looks
wow.
like. There is green, red, yellowish, orange flavors inside of here, whatever they correspond to.
It's
and
gummy goodness.
we're going to each enjoy one right now. So guys, grab the fish there. We're gonna have one.
Go ahead, Greg. Grab your fish.
I try to get to the sides of things
I'm eating
because
a
I've
red
seen
one
all
right
the
now.
people come through and eat these. I'm taking
Pretty
an
good.
orange one.
Reds are good.
Hold on.
Are you gonna eat a green?
No,
Are
I'm
you
doing
eating red also?
Yeah. Do we all eat red?
I
No.
ate red. He got
Orange.
orange.
Oh, yes.
This is my best
The gummy
podcast
goodness.
ever.
What does the note say? To Greg Miller and Podcast Beyond from John Hodge, Raleigh, North Carolina. Keep up the good work, guys. Enjoy Beyond. He also sent it to Greg Miller and Floridora, 8000 Marina Boulevard, IGN Podcast Beyond. Thank you, John.
Excellent.
This might take a while.
No, I'm done.
I'm almost done. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
You should let us know why. We're trying to figure this out. Did we ever mention gummies on Podcast Beyond?
Deal?
I don't know.
The reader should write in and give us like cite a specific episode that
I don't think we did.
Maybe
we
so.
had a gummy conversation.
That was good though.
But maybe
Yes.
we should.
We've been enjoying those all week.
Fantastic.
Thank you, John.
Okay, getting into the questions. Our first one comes from Arjun Gamer 123. He says, "How does Fallout 3 control as an RPG? If you've played Oblivion, that's how it controls."
Terrible. That game's for babies. It's gonna suck.
You're a crackhead.
Colin Moriarty?
You are nuts.
Yeah, it controls like Oblivion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good.
Controls probably just like you'd expect it to control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
The-
it
the
actually
only di-
handled very well. Even as like a first-person shooter, it seemed like it was working.
No, yeah, I'm not
yeah,
saying
it
it's bad.
does.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, the controls.
The-
are tight.
the
I picked it up.
only-
I'm like, oh, that's what it is.
The only difference is hitting the R1 or the left or the right bumper to
Yeah.
pull up the VAT system so you can target something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a first-person shooter basically, but in control scheme. But you can pause the game and do the whole RPG element if you want. So, yeah, it's pretty rad. Jeff Ramsaroop says, "Do you think the value in content in today's fighters warrant them being full-priced disc releases?"
Depends
very good
on
Depends
the
on the
game.
fighter.
Yeah, it really depends
Absolutely
on the game.
does. Something like Street Fighter 4, hell yeah, because that's
Yeah.
a total,
Yes.
Yep.
up to date. Bring it up from the 15-year-old game or whatever it is.
And that game is sick in Japan.
Yeah, the game is awesome.
A lot of those SNK games are actually, as repetitive as they might be, and recycling sprites and yada yada. We've talked about it before. They do price them at sometimes $20, $25. So
Yeah, which is
that's
pretty good.
reasonable.
What I want to see though is there's a handful of fighting franchises, and that's basically all that we see anymore every day. We see Virtua Fighter, we see Street Fighter, we see Tekken, we see Soul Calibur, we see the SNK series. And I don't know that I'm missing any there, but
Guilty Gear.
Guilty Gear.
As I cry in the corner.
No, I'm trying to
back
list
to
all
the
the
corner.
others. But I mean, we haven't seen a brand new fighting franchise in I don't know how. I mean, there's Def Jam, which
Def
sort of
Jam!
counts, but it's not quite the same sort of thing that we're talking about here, like a combo-based fighting system. And we haven't seen somebody really try to reinvent the franchise or the genre in a long time. I want to see a completely physics-based fighter where, in a lot of these games, my problem with Soul Calibur is playing it, you do like 3 or 4 moves and then your guy has to stop and that's the end of your combo. Then you pick a new combo to do, right? I want to see one where you can do like a 1 million move combo and it's all physics based. And if you punch and your arm is behind the guy and you hit the punch again, maybe you try to hit him with the back of your hand or something, you come back, like it's all contextual based, but you can keep going. Maybe your dude will get off balance, maybe it won't be in the right place, so that's how you have to work against that. But it's somebody taking an approach like that to a fighting game would give some new life to the genre, I think, and take it away a little bit from this sort of thing. I'm not saying it would work 100%. I like to see somebody at least try to tackle it or approach the game sort of differently. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, the other part is that they need to have a number of different modes. I mean, I think Soul Calibur tried to do it with the quest modes and everything else, where you had at least like some kind of a story
Mortal
or something.
Kombat is another franchise. I forgot.
Or you try and get like all these additional things like movie theaters or time attacks or tag teams or whatever else.
Dr. Danger writes in. He says, "What do you guys think about Rage having storage issues on other platforms?"
Show me your rage!
I think this is very interesting. This is probably the first example of, and Final Fantasy 13 could be another one when that winds up coming out. And I guess Kojima was talking about this with Metal Gear, but that didn't, so far at least, has gone to 360. But this is probably the first, solid release that, or somebody's talking about, that's coming to both the PS3 and 360 and PC, of course. That the 360 is going to have multiple discs, and texture resolution is going to be lower. Like Blu-ray is clearly paying off for this game. And, looking at the tech that's at this game, if it's something... Doom 3 looks great, but not a lot of people use the engine. But, if you go back to, like, the, Quake 2 days, Quake 3 days, Quake 1 days, people were, licensing the id stuff, like crazy, like worse than, more than Unreal Tournament's licensed, or Unreal Engine's licensed days. If Rage comes out and, it's easy to use and people pick it up, and, because it looks absolutely amazing, and it starts coming to all these platforms, like then that becomes an even bigger thing. It's one thing if one game, has this sort of issue for the 360 guys, and the PS3 has the advantage on it. But if it's like, a quarter of the games on the market are using the engine, and all of a sudden you have these disparities between the two platforms, then then you can say, okay, Sony did it right. There's finally proof that Blu-ray was necessary, and it is the way to go. So,
which it is, and we'll see.
Yes. Animated Fan says, even though I won't use Little Big Planet to create my own levels, but download levels made by other people, play levels already in the game, and recreate levels from other games, so I don't have the creative mentality. So his question is, would Little Big Planet still be worth a purchase? So would it be good only to play as a platformer and not really create stuff? Absolutely, it should be. It kind of... the whole game is based on the community behind it, and if people are creating some cool stuff. Yeah. I've seen some awesome levels in the game that they were showing off at E3, and a couple things like that. So there should be some super cool stuff to check out. One thing that's rad about the game is that they've broken it up so that you can be only a player, only a creator, or that sort of thing, and still get all the content. So you have multiple ways to unlock stuff. So if you only play the game, then you go through the levels like normal, and as you complete more levels, you'll unlock new content. You can put new costumes on your dude for whatever you want to do that. Or if you only want to create levels, you don't even have to really play anything. And the more levels you create, the more stuff you upload, and the higher ratings you get, and all those sorts of things tie into you all of a sudden unlocking more stickers and unlocking more parts to use and that sort of thing. So they've done from what I've seen at least, they've done a really good job of making it so that you can choose to only play it or choose to only create or mix it up in both and give you something that you're going to want to play. So
I think that also the people are going to be surprised that they don't necessarily have to create like a whole level and spend like hours and hours. Yeah. You can actually have a lot of fun just like messing around, just making some shapes and like experimenting with the physics-based, tools that they have there. I mean, because I'm not like going to be an architect or anything, but I think it's still fun to mess around in the create mode.
Yeah, people are making like little tiny one-off things. It's basically just one screen of like a little jump rope game or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have to go crazy on it. You just have one cool idea. You're like, let me make a little jumping platform, put a little high bar there. Let's see if you can jump over it. A little like seesaw thing. That's your whole level.
Even aesthetically, just making like a backdrop. Like there was that one trailer where the guy made that little Spanish-looking villa and just like had the little archways and stuff. Yeah. Like that's not a level. It's just scenery, but it still looks really nice. So yeah.
I'm gonna recreate the Sega Master System Ghostbuster game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, do it.
I played it on the PC Junior.
Yeah,
way back in the day. The Great 118 says, what do you guys think of Sony not making trophies mandatory? So you find this really odd that they would not do this. To clarify, in case that you guys haven't been reading everything that we've been writing, trophies are not mandatory now, but they will be. So Sony couldn't necessarily come out and say you have to put trophies in every game coming out. We announced to say every game has to have it, because then you're like, well, our game's going to be out in a month and we are pretty much done. Now we have to go back and the game's going to be delayed, blah, blah, blah. They don't want to do that for games that are coming out this year. Somewhere in the near future, I'm guessing by around the turn of the year, probably they're going to say any game coming out next year or whatever it is has to have trophies.
You think it'll be that soon?
I think it'll be pretty soon.
I think my prediction would be next summer. You'd hear that. See, that's when they'll do it.
I think it would be 2009 only because all the things that are going to be coming out by the end of this year are pretty much like either already coming close to like alpha or beta, and they're just like, or they're very close to hitting milestones. Yeah. So it's primarily just spacing it out over the next couple of months.
And a lot of those games are even already implementing them, which is why I think it's going to be sooner than later.
Right. Yeah. 2009, on the other hand, like depending upon whatever it is, either they're just starting it or like they're still far enough in the development process that they can throw those in and just go, yeah, okay, we'll just dedicate somebody and they spend a couple weeks making sure that they come up with some trophies.
And especially since a lot of these games are cross-platform, obviously nowadays, and people are working out enough ahead that when you create the system for achievements on 360, you just make it so it also works for trophies.
I would love to know. I mean, I know it's way over my head as far as jargon and whatnot. What you have to do with that, or how that comes together. Because I went to do a demo with somebody at their office a couple months ago now, and this is right after the announcement, and I said, are you going to have this? And like, no, I didn't, for our cycle, it didn't work. I'm like, oh, no big deal. And then I saw this other game last week that's coming out in a couple weeks, and they're like, oh, and then the trophy pops up. I don't know, I mean, I know every game's different, and every kind of tool's different. I just don't, there's got to be, I guess, a point when you break off between 360 and PS3 and just drop that code or something, and then it's kind of locked down or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very interesting.
And it probably depends on the team, too.
Lazy ones don't do it, I bet.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised at how many games are already supporting trophies. Like, I didn't even realize that Pain was going to do that. It's already there. It's gonna, there's an Uncharted patched it already. It's pretty quickly catching on.
Big Boss X Hunter says, Greg, should I buy SingStar or wait for SingStar Volume 2, or should I buy both?
Buy both.
Or Lips.
I mean, I would definitely buy. Yeah, I mean, SingStar Volume 2 is just expanding on everything that SingStar has now. It's just more songs, basically.
Are the downloaded songs from SingStar 1 going to work in 2?
I haven't had. I have a request out right now for Q&A with their developer, so I believe I've heard that they will, because it's already out in the UK and they're all doing it, kicking it old school over there. So I'm assuming what happened. I mean, it's the same infrastructure, it's the same online, it's the same everything else. It should be fine, but I don't want to go on the record 100%.
Very good. Black Manos says between Fallout 3, Eternal Sonata, and Valkyria Chronicles, he's warning where the IGN PlayStation team felt would be the overall pick of the litter for RPG fans this year.
Valkyria Chronicles isn't an RPG; it's a strategy game.
Strategy RPG.
It's still a strategy game.
Just saying.
Batting on your blouses. This one's gonna get crazy.
For me, I mean, a lot of people know that I'm not a huge Japanese type RPG gamer. I'm more of a Western dude. So, I mean, for me, it's Fallout. Plus, I love that sort of post-apocalyptic setting and all things gone to hell and that sort of stuff. So
I'm going Fallout as well.
Yeah.
Brian.
I like both for very different reasons.
Oh, here we go.
I like what is wrong?
Make a decision.
No,
you can't have steak and lamb
at the same time, and it's totally fine because I can love both of them equally.
2 games, same time.
This reminds me of a scene in the middle of Clerks with Randall brings back a movie from the video store we won't talk about. But anyway.
I'm just saying that I think Valkyria Chronicles I'm really excited about, and after playing Fallout 3 at E3, I'm very excited about that too. They're very different games. They're going to do great things, both of them.
Jeff?
Fallout.
There you go. Let's move on to the emails. There's a board one.
Wait, should we break the news right now? What email?
We'll break the news at the end.
Okay.
What if people stopped listening? What if people stopped listening?
Now they're teased. Now they're going to totally.
Right. We're going to announce. Confused. We're going to announce when the PlayStation 4 is getting announced in about 5 minutes.
What?
Maybe.
Oh my God.
We're not going to do that. Shinya says, is Call of Duty 4 going to come to the greatest hits lineup anytime this year or in the near future? And if so, when, and is it worth getting, or should I get World at War? Absolutely get Call of Duty 4. I don't care how much you have to pay for that game. It's awesome. But as far as greatest hits goes, TBD. So first off, Call of Duty 4 is selling crazy.
Yeah, still.
It's like, I don't know how many millions it has sold. I want to say it's up somewhere around the 8 million mark. But it might only be 6 million, but it's something completely insane.
It's a couple million at least.
Yeah, it's way up there in the millions. Now, the thing that with greatest hits, a lot of times, especially from third parties, and I'm referring to a lot of stuff from the PS2 catalog and from the 360 ones, since the PS3 ones only just came out, is that it seems like a lot of games go to the greatest hits when the sequel to it is about to come out. So if you have a game that there's sequel's still on the works, where even if it's announced, it might still be full price. Then when the sequel is about to drop, they might lower the game. That's obviously not the case in all these things. MotorStorm's cheap now, and Warhawk doesn't even have a sequel, and that's cheap. All those sorts of things. But I would expect that Call of Duty 4 will go to the greatest hits right around the time that World War comes out, and at that point, I mean, even if you want to get World War, still get Call of Duty 4. I mean, one thing is Call of Duty 4 is modern, and World War is World War II, so you won't feel like you're playing the same game.
Disrespecting your grandfather.
Exactly. Let's Get Awesome wants to know, he said he wanted to know if there'd be any news on the new game from Team Eco. Last he heard, Shadow of the Colossus and the Eco creators working on a title for the PS3, but haven't heard word about it. No news yet. It seems like TGS might be the time to learn about this thing. Although, of course, German Games Convention is in, a week and a half now.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
Probably not going to get announced there because this is a very, this is the Japanese team over there, and they're probably going to, save that thing for TGS, assuming that it gets announced then. But, at a minimum, we'll see some sort of announcements at Leipzig. Farewell to Kings says he recently discovered the novelty of remote play, but feels it is nowhere near its potential. Imagine the possibilities of a PS3 controller could attach via USB, and then you'd have the full PS2 and 3 games streamed to the system. Is there a possibility of this happening? No. The USB controller or the USB cord on a PS3 connects it and powers it, but the PSP doesn't have Bluetooth, so there's no way for the DualShock to talk with the PSP, basically. You could make a USB controller. That's certainly within the realm of possibility. You could totally do that.
It's right behind the keyboard, the camera, and the GPS unit.
Exactly. So we'll see in 2028.
PSP's really going to hit its stride around 2027 fall.
Yes, that's going to be an awesome
Along
year.
with all the UMD software.
Yep.
Bob says, do you ever think that trophies will be retroactive or will have to do everything over again for every game ever? So first off, if a game has online stuff, that storage stuff can be retroactive because it's stored to your account. If stuff isn't tied to an account specifically and only to the save file, it can't be retroactive because then you could just copy the save and then you just earn them for free or whatever. However, keep in mind that you're playing games that are getting patched now. In a year from now, when you're not going back and playing patch games, all the games are going to be new anyway. So, it's only a problem right now at the the launch of the system or whatever. So don't worry about it too much. And plus, all the games that are getting patched are awesome. So don't feel bad about playing Uncharted again.
Word.
Mothers says, he says, my question is, why do you guys think that do we think that the PSN will eventually have all PS1 and PS2 titles on there after PS2 sales decline and the PS4 is starting to be introduced?
No, I just don't think it's logistically possible to have every game on there.
Yeah.
I think Japan might, but there's no way that Europe and North America are going to get them because they're just not focused on it.
Dex says, basically, I've loved all of Insomniac's games, and I'm sure not the only one. His question is, why has Sony not locked them up? Or, in other words, why has Sony not purchased Insomniac? The answer is because Insomniac does not want to be bought. They're a privately owned company. They can do whatever they want. They don't, even if Sony offers them $100 billion, they don't have to sell.
They would, though.
But those guys are, they're living large over there as it is now, and they have full freedom to do whatever they want to do. And I think that they love that, and they're making great games. So, that's the thing is they're making great games over there, cranking out one game a year. If you care about that sort of thing, they're all Sony exclusive. So, right now there's nobody would see any benefit from them being purchased, at least right now. So, who cares? Dustin C. Snuffleupagus says, this question is for Jeff and Ryan, since they seem to be big RPG fans. He wants to know how you guys feel about the Megaten games, Digital Devil Saga, Nocturne, and the Persona games, and wants to know if you're curious about Persona 4.
Yes, very curious about Persona 4. Although, considering that there haven't really been a lot of details that have been released about it, I know the game, I believe, just came out in Japan. Not a lot has really been released about it here, and I haven't seen the imports or anything. So, I have no idea what exactly it is. But the Shin Megami Tensei line is an excellent franchise. It really is. Whether you're playing the old Digital Devil Sagas or Nocturne or even the offshoot Raider, I'm gonna butcher it, but Kozunu versus the Soulless Army. They're just really good, really deep, really complex games that deal with a lot of mature subjects, things that a lot of RPGs don't even want to breathe near, and or on. And it's just they're excellent games for RPG fans.
Ryan,
Jeff pretty much answered it because he knows those franchises better than I do. I've only been playing Persona 3 recently, and I really like it.
Me too.
Woo!
I like it a lot.
Woot. Last question of the day.
Fez.
Last question of the day comes from Mr. Bill George. He says he just picked up a PS3, the 80 gig Metal Gear Solid 4 bundle, And as a question, he says he has Metal Gear Solid 4, Super Stardust HD, Echo Chrome, Pixel Junk Monsters, and Pain, which apparently came free with the bundle. He was wondering if he's missing any must-haves. He's waiting for a Little Big Planet and Killzone 2, but he wants to know if he's missing anything else. Yeah, Warhawk you should get. Motorstorm if you're into racing. He does not have Resistance. You need to go get that.
And Uncharted.
And Uncharted, definitely.
Ratchet, if you're interested into
Ratchet.
platforming.
Yeah, so get Uncharted, Warhawk, Motorstorm, Ratchet,
Resistance.
and Resistance.
SingStar.
And if you like to sing, you get SingStar. And
not Lips.
And if you don't have a 360, get Rock Band and get Rock Band.
How about You're in the Movies?
Or I guess wait for the next
wait for Rock Band too with the trophies. Apparently.
Yeah, there you go. So that brings us to the end of Reader Mail.
Reader Mail.
We have so in the past, the easiest way to ask us questions is to go onto the forums and post on there on a board, which I guess is still preferred because it's kind of easier for us to get them out of there.
But not everybody's an insider.
Not everybody's an insider, and so we've set up a email address you can send questions to. So you can just mail to beyond@ign.com.
No
That's
exclamation
beyond.
point.
No exclamation point. That'll break our computers. Do not hacksaw us.
At ign.com.
Yeah, beyond@ign.com. You can send us your questions. We'll, if they're good and whatever, we'll read them on the air.
Tell everybody. Put it on the boards. Tell your kids.
Go
It's
crazy.
Beyond.ign or just beyond@ign.com.
We should actually get beyond.ign.com set up and just have all our podcasts on there. Maybe
No, just have
Probably not.
just pictures of us yelling.
we'll just redirect it to Open iTunes.
Yes, screamers.
Anyway, so beyond.ign.com lets you email us nice and easy. Where are we at in the thing? There's tournament winners, Ryan. You want to read those off?
There technically is not. There's an announcement.
Oh.
Because
Oh,
their
my birds.
challenge was delayed last week.
Oh, snap.
So the man behind the mask, Beast786, told me that there will be winners next week because, quote, as we are invading Canada.
I see.
So, look forward to that.
Is there any news on the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, if I have time this afternoon, I will send out the invites. If not, I'll send them out Monday, and we'll get this thing frickin' started.
There we go. PSN hit of the week. Who are we gonna hit? There's been a couple of requests up in here. I didn't highlight any of these things because they're all over left field now. This one guy, where is he? Let me find this one. It's his birthday today, actually. You want to make him the hit?
Yeah.
All
Happy
right.
birthday. We'll make you the hit.
Let me find his thing. I think here he goes. Today is his email. He was asking us about Fat Princess and something or another. Anyways, he says his birthday is August 8th. Can he be the PSN hit? He thinks his PS name is stupid enough, seeing he doesn't even know what Fat Princess is coming. Or he didn't even know it was coming when he made it, but his PSN ID is Fat Prince.
Oh,
So,
wow, that's awesome.
That's pretty good. So no space, just Fat Prince. He is our PSN hit of the week.
You've just been hit.
Oh, that's so much worse than mine.
Ryan's is better for
Suck
that.
it.
Ryan, do your thing.
PSN hit confirmed.
Yeah, that's way better.
Fine, do it.
All right.
Pwned, Jeff.
I care not.
Dora.
So,
Okay, so I'm not going to be like Ryan. Doodly-doo. I'm going to make a sound effect. Doodly-doo.
I do say doodly-doo a lot.
That's the sound effect you do use a lot.
Doodly-doodly-doo-doo-doo.
All right, now,
Fat Princess, happy birthday! You're hit of the
Fat
week.
Prince.
Fat Prince. Maybe his girlfriend's Fat Princess. I don't know. Fat Prince is hit of the week, and actually we'll make a double hit if somebody actually has Fat Princess. Hit them both. Happy birthday, Fat Prince.
Hey, interesting question there.
Huh.
If a prince married someone, does she become a princess?
I believe so.
Okay, he's like king and queen.
Yeah.
Okay,
okay.
just make sure it wasn't his sister.
No, because I'm actually not gonna say this because if I'm wrong, people are gonna like lampoon me or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Think about Princess Di, dude.
that's what I was gonna say. But then I was like,
Oh, you're right.
I
You're
wasn't-
right. You're
I
right.
wasn't
You're right.
100%
You're
on
right.
that.
You're
I'm
right.
like,
She was a
That
commoner.
was a
there
dumb
you go.
question. Good call.
yeah. So anyway, that I think brings us to the end of the show.
Yep.
I think I properly went through the list this week, which is good.
No, you jumped.
I jumped at the end. I went
Yeah.
jumped down to the tournament winners, but the end kind of gets mangled up all the time anyway.
Because
but
you.
the rest, it's not
'Cause
no,
you.
no, not because of me. Because if I ask about the beatdown, there's no news. Everybody's like, there's none of that. And
The last
around the room's
podcast
always
when he
weird on
jumped
here.
like back and you're like, no, go back. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he went back again. You're like, focus. Come on.
And then the hot chocolate spillage happened.
Yeah, nope.
A
Hot
date that
chocolate-
will live in infamy.
Hot chocolate's good today.
I'm surprised.
We got. Let me ask
I
you.
was going to say, we had a question about
Yeah,
that,
we had
didn't
a question
We've got a
saying,
couple
why is it the
questions
middle of
about this.
summer and the room is all stuffy, which it is, and I'm drinking hot chocolate in my thing? This is the exact same thing as somebody drinking coffee. There's no difference that people drink coffee every day.
You don't like coffee?
I don't like coffee, and I don't like to drink water because it doesn't have any flavor. And Ryan likes to drink it, but
love water.
I'm all out.
And I don't like paying for sodas all day. So and the hot chocolate here is free, so
There
that's
you
why
go.
I drink it,
Pwned.
and I like it. So I could also drink tea, but then I gotta like heat the water up and let it soak, and I want immediate satisfaction. Unless I burn myself.
It sounded like you just said satisfaction, which is an awesome term. I want some satisfaction.
I want some sassafras in my faction. All right, let's get to the song. Greg, what do you got?
Boys in the Hood by Dynamite Hack.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Woke up quick at about noon. Just thought that I had to be in Brisbane soon. I gotta get drunk before Beyond begins. Before Chris Roper starts bitching about my friends. About to go and damn near went blind. Young trophies on the PSN throwing up good times. I went in the office to get the clicks with my proton pack on the side of my hip. I bailed outside and I pointed my weapon. Just as I thought the ghosts kept stepping, I jumped in the flow, hit the juice in my ride. I got Jeffrey here riding by my side. But the boys on Beyond are always hard. Come posting that trash and we'll pull your card. Knowing nothing in life except Sony is sick. Don't quote me, boy, I can't read this. Oh, don't quote me, boy, I ain't the PSN hit.
Pretty good.
That was awesome.
Beyond.
All right, everybody, we'll see you next week. Beyond.
Beyond.